Hi, I'm Kenton, and this is Kenton Knows. In this video, I'm going to explain what I like to do along with the why when I renovate rental properties. Most of what I'm discussing will also apply to flips and short-term rentals. I personally prefer long-term rentals, so I skew a little more toward long-term rentals in my videos. If you like this video, please hit the like button, consider subscribing to my channel, and leave me any questions below as well. In this video, I will be covering painting, lights, kitchens, doors, locks, blinds, garbage disposals, appliances, bathrooms, and floors. I won't be covering exteriors or common areas other than the locks for them, nor will I discuss the mechanicals other than I expect that you have had your electrical inspected and upgraded if needed. All of my rentals have updated copper plumbing, electrical panels, central heat and AC, along with dishwashers and washer dryer in units. I also install hardwired smoke detectors if I do any significant work in a property. Let's start with determining the level of finishes you should be doing for your rental. This is the critical first step. You have to know your market. If you invest in finishes that are way too nice for the area, you won't achieve the high rents required to pay you back for your investment. And on the flip side, if you put in really low-end finishes, but you are in a nicer area, you won't be achieving the higher rents and returns you should expect for the property, which you more than likely paid a higher price to get into the nicer area. So start by learning your market through online research of other available nearby rental and sold properties. If you can go to open houses or tour a few in person, that would be even better. Once you have a pretty good idea about your market, you can make a more informed decision as to what type of finishes you should be installing in your rental. In any home or rental, the majority of your investment will be in the kitchen and bathrooms, and these are also the rooms that really sell your rental to tenants, so keep that in mind. Before we even start to invest in new finishes, I would highly advise you to inspect the plumbing. If the plumbing is old galvanized pipes, please do yourself and your tenant a favor and replace it. I know it can be expensive, and the tenant won't see it, but if you don't do it, you should expect problems with water pressure and potential leaks in the future if there aren't already issues. As I'm sure you've seen in a lot of renovation TV shows, there is a push to open up the kitchen. Personally, I really agree with this concept and think it is great to open up the kitchen and dining area. However, before you start demolition, you really need to consider if you will get a return from the additional work and the time it will take to do it. If you are in a high-end area, I'd say yes, you should spend the money and open it up, as most renters will expect that. However, if you are in a B or C area, you may only want to refinish the existing cabinets and add new countertops. Maybe take down the upper cabinets and remove the soffit, but don't go through a major project of moving plumbing and adding structural supports or any other more complicated and expensive improvements if the market won't reward you for those efforts. Keep in mind, you want to get this unit rented as quickly as possible, as you are paying carrying costs every day until it is rented. But on the other hand, it will be a real hassle to do any major work once you have a tenant in place. Also, when renovating a property, you should always consider the longevity and future maintenance requirements of each item. Tenants normally don't take care of the property, so items can wear out quicker and show wear faster than you might otherwise expect. Most of my properties are purchased knowing the area is getting better, so I lean toward the higher end of finishes, knowing the area is improving. Let's start in the kitchen. My preference is quartz countertops for the high end, then the cheapest granite for mid-range, and laminate for the low end. I don't recommend butcher block counters for any rentals. I definitely think it is important to do deep undermount sinks for high-end units, and even as I get to the lower end, I don't think you should ever install the shallow kitchen sinks. You aren't saving much, and it's super annoying for tenants who then are more prone to splashing water everywhere outside the sinks when you use them. You can buy a fairly nice single-handle faucet with a pull-down sprayer for less than $100, and it really is a nice touch, so I don't recommend getting the super cheap ones or a faucet with separate hot and cold levers. I do not recommend installing a garbage disposal for any rental. They are a huge maintenance hassle. Tenants throw everything into them and don't understand why they get clogged. It won't get you a higher rental rate, so don't do it. It's not worth the aggravation. For appliances, I personally install a fridge, dishwasher, range, and microwave. I think it is a mistake to not install a dishwasher, even if your rental is a little on the lower end. If you are on the lower end, I'd look for used appliances or dented ones, as they'll get dented soon enough. If you feel your unit is borderline between white and stainless, I'd go with stainless. The low-end stainless appliances aren't that much more than white, and the hope is it will attract a better tenant. I have found that the least expensive stainless appliance appeals to the average renter more than a more expensive white appliance with more features. Clearly, this is a generalization, and every tenant is different, but I've found that stainless steel appliances are still regarded as higher end by the majority of the tenants in my area. Next, we move to the bathrooms. Again, keep in mind your level of investment here. If you are in the B or C range, I would consider some of the nicer one-piece tub and shower surrounds. They can be installed in a day and are maintenance-free and very durable. If you are in a higher end, I'm afraid a lot of renters won't like that and you'll need to do tile. Obviously, tile varies considerably, but you should be able to find a nice tile without breaking the bank. There seems to be a debate of whether it is a mistake to remove the tub if you only have one bathroom. Essentially, in my opinion, there are really a few scenarios where the tub is important, and if you don't like to personally take baths, it's probably easier to think others don't as well. In my experience, there is a group of people that love baths and won't consider an apartment without one. Also, if a tenant has a baby or small kids, they will probably only rent a place with a tub. So, in my opinion, if you only have one bath, I'd keep the tub. If you have more than one bath, I'd recommend keeping a tub in at least one bathroom, as this will significantly increase your available pool of renters. If you have the room and you're replacing the vanity, I'd highly recommend a double vanity. It isn't a huge increase in cost, and I have found that any unit with 2 or more adults really appreciates a double vanity in the bathroom. I think it should go without saying, but I recommend a tile floor in the bathroom. Also, be sure you install an exhaust fan if there isn't already one in the bathroom. If you have a roommate situation or are in a basement apartment, I would highly recommend a fan with humidity sensor so that it goes on automatically when the humidity reaches 60% or so. Otherwise, you may get mold growing due to the constant high humidity when your tenants don't open a window or leave the fan on as needed. Here's a quick story. I have a 3-bedroom apartment that had 3 male roommates, and each would have their girlfriends sleeping over most nights. In the morning, the shower was constantly running, and to make matters worse, they turned off the fan and closed the door between showers to keep the heat in the room for their girlfriends. Needless to say, after a couple of months, we had mold growing on the ceiling. I replaced the bathroom exhaust fan with a humidity-controlled fan and told them they needed to open the door when no one was in the bathroom and be sure the fan was running to prevent the mold from coming back. Next, we come to painting. I personally use a very light gray and have used the same paint formula for nearly 20 years. It is neutral, bright, timeless, and doesn't show wear as much as white would. I use an eggshell finish and is light enough that I can paint the walls and the ceiling, so I don't have to waste any time cutting the edges. I can buy it in bulk, and for the most part, I can do touch-ups when tenants move out, as opposed to repainting the entire unit, which makes turnovers much faster. I prefer hardwood floors in my rentals. They are incredibly durable, easy to clean, and still look great even when they have a few scrapes and scratches. Worst case, I can sand and refinish them if needed, but I have buildings that were built over 100 years ago, and I'm fairly certain the hardwood is still original. I refinished them when I bought the properties, and they still look great. For lighting, I know the ceiling fans can be a little bit of a hassle, but I do think they are really nice to have, so I put them in each bedroom and the living room. I don't like track lighting, but that's more of a personal preference. I don't think they are particularly troublesome, but it's easier to change or update a regular light as opposed to a track light, which is more likely to require some paint touch-up as well. For interior doors, I prefer solid doors, but the cost can add up quickly, and I have found that hollow doors last long enough that even when I do need to replace them, it is worth the savings. So unless you have a really high-end rental, I'd just stick with hollow interior doors. I have them in just about all of my rentals. For the main unit doors, you need to have an insulated metal door, even if it opens to an interior space. They reduce sound transmission, heat and cold transfer, security, and I'm fairly certain every city or municipality fire code will require it to be a fire-rated door. For locks, I'd recommend electronic locks as my first choice for any building or unit locks. If you don't want to go with electronic, then I'd consider quick-set smart key locks, which allow you to change the key yourself without changing the lock. I personally have a dedicated keyway and use interchangeable cores, but I don't recommend it to start. Also, I try to minimize the number of keys my tenants and I need to carry. To do that, be sure all gates to your property use the same key, and if you have more than one common building door, be sure all of those also use the same key, different from the gate, but the same key for all building doors. Then, all locks into each particular unit should use the same key, front and back, deadbolt, and door handle all keyed alike. For window coverings, I use vinyl blinds. I've found that they are timeless and the least expensive option. More expensive blinds don't seem to last any longer, and drapes are definitely not the answer either. If one or two blades break, you can take off the bottom bar and move a blade from the bottom up by taking out the middle strings and restringing it. I've done this several times to avoid getting a new blind just because the previous tenant broke a few blades. I have to end with a reminder to be sure you install a smoke and carbon monoxide detector in each bedroom and outside of all sleeping areas, as well as at least one per floor, including the basement if there is not a bedroom on each floor. Also, be sure to place a fire extinguisher under the sink or somewhere in the kitchen, in addition to one in all the common hallways for multi-unit properties. I hope these tips can help you determine what would be best for you to do when renovating your rental properties. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and if you have any ideas or comments, please share them below. Thank you for watching Kenton Knows, and I wish you the best of luck with all of your real estate investments.